present bias is our tendency to value immediate rewards highly and discount the long-term rewards and gains. We often find ourselves caught in the tension between immediate gratification and long-term benefits. Our preference for the here and now immediate gratification is also known as the here and now bias. Consider the decision to indulge in a decadent dessert today or adhere to a diet that promises long-term health benefits. The immediate pleasure of the dessert is tangible and compelling, while the future reward of a healthy body feels abstract and distant. Present bias makes us take a myopic view when making decisions, where the immediate rewards are seen clearly but the long-term gains are blurred or overlooked. Procrastinating on an important project for the immediate comfort of relaxation can lead to stress and compromise the quality later on. The struggle with scarcity, whether in terms of money, time, or other essential resources, leads to a mindset that often prioritizes immediate rewards over long-term gains. People living in poverty are often trapped in a constant battle with scarcity. Every day, they must make difficult choices, weighing immediate needs against future benefits. This scarcity mindset creates a tunnel vision that can intensely focus attention on immediate concerns while neglecting long-term considerations. Consider a low-income family faced with the decision to spend limited funds on important necessities such as food, or to invest in future opportunities like education or savings. The pressing and tangible nature of the immediate needs can overshadow the abstract promise of long-term benefits. The present bias is essentially apparent in financial decisions among low-income decision-makers. They are more likely to engage in short-term, high-interest loans, save less for essential future needs like education or retirement, and participate in lotteries. This behavior can often be traced back to the pressure of living with scarce resources, which magnify present bias. Recent research showed that the scarcity mindset was associated with two significant mental processes. First, the scarcity mindset is associated with increased activity in the orbital frontal cortex. This part of the brain is often responsible for valuation processes, and under a scarcity mindset, it becomes hyperactive. The increased activity intensifies the focus on immediate rewards, magnifying their value in our mental calculus. The lure of the here and now becomes almost irresistible, overshadowing future considerations. Second, the scarcity mindset is associated with decreased activity in the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. This brain region is well known for its role in goal-directed choices and self-control. Reduced activity in this area during scarcity implies a diminished ability to weigh long-term rewards and exercise self-control. The future becomes discounted and self-control wanes. The two processes work together to create myopia, where instant gratification is more appealing than future opportunities and consequences. The scarcity mindset then leads to decisions that further exacerbate poverty, creating a vicious cycle. Our emotions also influence the present bias. Different emotions, such as sadness, pride, and gratitude, can shape our present bias in predictable ways. Sadness is often triggered by a profound sense of loss. Feeling sad creates a myopic focus on the present, making us impatient and craving immediate satisfaction. In one study, participants who felt sad were more likely to accept less money now rather than waiting for a more considerable sum in the future. Researchers describe it as myopic misery, where sadness clouds our judgment, diminishing the importance of future rewards. Contrary to sadness, pride ignites a flame of determination and resilience within us. When we feel proud of our accomplishments, attributing positive outcomes to our own efforts, we are more motivated to shoulder short-term sacrifices for long-term goals. Pride then becomes a catalyst for delayed gratification. We can trigger pride by asking decision makers to envision a future success or recounting a tale of achievement. Those gentle nudges can significantly shift our choices, encourage patience and foresight. Gratitude is triggered by our acknowledgement of goodness in the world and recognize the kindness and support of others. Unlike the self-focused nature of pride, gratitude connects us with a broader community and often a sense of higher purpose. Grateful people are patient, placing higher value on long-term relationships and meaningful goals and downplaying immediate temptations. In organizations, leaders' decisions that resonate with the vision of the organization are similar to surgical procedures that meticulously uproot a problem rather than hasty band-aids that temporarily mask the issue. However, the pull of the present bias can often seduce leaders into choosing paths that offer immediate relief but prolong underlying problems. Leaders are constantly faced with decisions that test their resolve and foresight. Do you choose a quick fix that momentarily appeases stakeholders, or do you choose to eliminate the root cause of a problem? While the latter may demand immense willpower, resources, and time, it ensures sustainable success and alignment with the organization's vision. But the present bias can be a cunning adversary. The allure of short-term gains often overshadows the long-term benefits that only materialize years down the road, possibly when the same leaders are no longer in power. This disconnection from future rewards, coupled with immediate pain and the blowback of undertaking complex solutions, sometimes motivate leaders to adopt halfway measures, leaving problems unsolved. The present bias also extends to an organization's preparation for future crises. The here and now reward system within organizations rarely praises the effort to prepare for uncertain future challenges. The urgent issues that demand immediate attention often overshadow the strategic planning required to withstand potential storms. What's the result? A collective inaction that leaves the organization vulnerable when the unexpected strikes. In both legal and organizational settings, pressure influences our choices, sometimes leading us into what could be described as a speed trap. Whether it's the stress of an interrogation leading to a false confession or the pressure of a deadline leading to hasty decisions, the circumstances can have far-reaching consequences. Confessions have long been considered as the ultimate proof of guilt. However, an intense interrogation room fraught with anxiety, fear, sleep deprivation, and hunger can coerce even the innocent into confessing to something they did not do. Under the pressure, desperate to escape the situation, even if it means make a false confession. We are all vulnerable to present bias when subject to extreme stress. It raises critical questions about the justice system and how it treats confessions as infallible evidence, especially when they're extracted under duress. In the workplace, deadlines and efficiency often becomes the dictators of decision-making. Leaders and employees faced with the relentless ticking of the clock may find themselves compromising quality, ethical considerations, and long-term vision for the sake of getting it done. This obsession with efficiency, coupled with the perceived lack of time, creates tunnel vision. In the rush to meet immediate goals, organizations may inadvertently create more problems that require more time and resources to correct. It's a vicious cycle that leads to overworked employees, a perpetual state of crisis management, and an organization trapped in its own self-made speed trap. Overcoming the present bias is no small feat because it requires self-control, which demands significant brain power. As a living organ, our brain relies on a constant supply of oxygen and glucose to function properly. The brain constitutes only 2% of our body weight, but it requires 20% of the blood pumped by our heart. So our brain is vulnerable to fluctuations in energy supply. The mental effort of self-control comes primarily from the prefrontal cortex, a region of the brain responsible for important functions such as cognition, attention, and emotion regulation. But the prefrontal cortex carries an enormous amount of metabolic cost. The tug of war between instant gratification and long-term benefits relies heavily on glucose, a finite energy source in our brain. When this energy is depleted, our ability to resist immediate temptations and make prudent long-term decisions is compromised. Many everyday activities can deplete our cognitive resources that are needed for self-control. First, social media interaction. Every status update, tweet, and text message that we engage with competes for our limited cognitive resources. Each piece of information we process chips away at our ability to control our focus on the bigger picture. Second, fatigue and stress. Mental exhaustion, physical fatigue, hunger, and stress reduce our capacity to suppress instant gratification. Have you ever succumbed to the allure of fast food after a long, demanding day? It's not just a lapse in willpower, but also shows reduced cognitive reserves. Making high-stakes decisions in the afternoon or at the end of a day is not a good idea due to mental exhaustion. Studies showed that decision-making abilities are often at their peak in the morning, followed a good night's sleep, and a mind rejuvenated and ready to face challenges. Leaders who aspire to make high-quality decisions would be wise to schedule important decision-making activities in the morning or right after a refreshing break. Third, decision fatigue. Workplace distractions, whether they come from emails, meetings, or personal life demands, pull at the finite attention resources we have. Our scattered attention across multiple minor issues can lead to decision fatigue. In an experiment, participants were asked to make a series of trivial decisions, such as choosing between writing with a ballpoint pen or a felt-tip pen. As the sequence of decisions progressed, there was a noticeable decline in both self-control and the overall quality of decisions. Constantly making decisions and holding vast amounts of information in our memory drains our cognitive energy. This depletion makes us more susceptible to present bias. It's like we have a limited decision-making capacity. Once the limit is reached, subsequent decisions suffer regardless of their importance. To preserve the limited cognitive resources, leaders should delegate decision-making when appropriate and distribute decision-making responsibilities among trusted team members. To minimize unnecessary interruptions and distractions, leaders can designate specific times for checking emails or taking meetings, allowing more focused time for critical thinking. For example, I don't take meetings in the morning because my mornings are reserved for reading, writing, and working on my research. The task of setting deadlines is an important part of leaders' decision-making, particularly in project management. How does deadline influence present bias? While long deadlines may seem appealing for their apparent flexibility and ease, they can have counterintuitive effects. A lengthy deadline may signal that a task is complex and requires substantial effort. This perception can lead to procrastination, as people may believe they need to allocate significant resources, such as time and energy, to the task. Under the influence of present bias, people may prioritize tasks with shorter deadlines, even if they are less important, because they perceive an immediate need to address them. On the other hand, a short deadline can be motivating, particularly for relatively simple tasks. For example, if an organization needs its employees to watch a 5-minute cybersecurity training video and complete a quiz, a shorter deadline is more effective for immediate action. The sense of immediacy that a tight deadline creates can focus attention and energy on the task at hand. By minimizing the time available, we are more likely to engage with the task immediately, prioritizing it over other activities. Leaders can use the understanding of present bias to set deadlines more effectively. To do so, leaders should consider the nature of the task when deciding the deadline. Simple tasks benefit from shorter deadlines, while complex tasks require more careful considerations. Regularly check on the progress of the task and provide support if needed. This oversight can ensure that procrastination is minimized and the task stays on track. Start observing your decision-making process and those of others around you. See if you can spot instances of present bias. Please feel free to share your comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.